where do all of these early sneakers come from? You scroll in the gram and you see these shoes that are unreleased. They're not coming out for a couple months. You're like, where does this person get this pair of shoes from? Well, that is exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video. We're going to talk about where I get early pairs from, and of course where other people get their early pairs from as well. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I just thought, it's a really cool idea to discuss over here on the YouTube channel, because it was like one of the big questions that I had when I first started here on YouTube. I obviously wanted to get early pairs of sneakers in for early reviews to show you guys on the channel. I saw all these other YouTubers and people on Instagram getting shoes early, and I was like, where the hell can I get pairs early from? Now, I want to say that I'm not an expert on this topic. I'm not an expert at getting early sneakers, but let's discuss it. Let's talk about how this works, and kind of you'll understand that there's a little bit of I guess you could say a hierarchy where shoes kind of start at the top and then they trickle down to people like, I guess, me. So let's start from the top. The first people to get early pairs of shoes in hand. These are the very well connected people. Sometimes they work for the company or the factory, and sometimes they just know people that work for the factory or the company. So they're like super close to the production and the team and everything. And these people are normally the ones that you see on Instagram or different social medias, kind of giving all of the sneaker blogs their first looks. So when you start seeing House of Heat, Sneaker News, all of these sneaker blogs post about a pair of shoes, sometimes it'll be a very blurry, fuzzy image. It kind of looks like it was taken in a factory. Or of course, it is a sample pair of sneakers that are going to be released later in the year or next year. These are kind of the first people to get their hands on a pair of shoes. And these people normally don't show their faces. Some of them do. It really just depends on their situation. And these are kind of what I assume to be the first people who get their hands on an early pair of sneakers. And then once that whole wave goes over and the news of this pair of shoes that it is going to be releasing like this year or next year or whenever the specific release date is for that pair of shoes, well, then time moves on, and suddenly the retailers start getting their pairs. So the actual brand has finished their production and they start sending out the allocated stock to each retailer. Bigger ones that get loads and loads of pairs, and then the smaller ones that do kind of very small raffles and they only get maybe a couple hundred pairs, stuff like that, and that's when we start to see a lot more early pairs pop up. And this is kind of the next phase, the infamous backdoor. So backdooring is something that has been around for a long time. And again, I'm not an expert at this. I've never backdoored a pair of shoes. I've never known anybody who's backdoored a pair of shoes. Essentially what happens is this is a retailer who, let's say for example, gets in 1,000 pairs of shoes. So they get in this 1,000 pair of shoes and they know that this is a very valuable sneaker, a very sought after pair of shoes. And of course they have the recommended retail price of, let's say, $170. So they're going to sell this shoe for $170. However, along comes a reseller who offers them, let's say, $800 for that pair of shoes. They're like, listen, we'll take as many as you'll give to me, and I'll pay you $800 per pair of shoes. So then what commonly happens is the retailer just slides a few pairs to the reseller, and obviously they're making a lot more money than they would just selling this to a consumer for $170. They're now selling it over to them for $800. And again, the most recent example we can have of backdooring is the Jordan 1 Trophy Room release, where like a lot of the images we saw online was just a bunch of resellers with hundreds of pairs, flexing on the Instagram with boxes piled up. But essentially, a lot of the pairs potentially got backdoored and ended up in resellers' hands rather than the consumer. And obviously the resellers are going to be trying to sell them for a profit, so they take that $800 pair of shoes and they put it up on places like, I don't know, GOAT, StockX, eBay, or their Instagram pages, or wherever they feel fit to sell their early backdoored pairs of shoes. There is a market for early pairs of shoes, and it's not just people like me, sneaker reviewers, but I guess there's normal people who just want to be the first. They want to have this shoe in hand before anybody else. That's when you start seeing a lot more pairs on the secondary market, like, again, StockX, GOAT, eBay, Instagram. That's where we start seeing a lot of early pairs for sale, and of course they're going to be a lot more money. A good example of the inflated price before they release is, let's say, this pair of shoes right here. This is the Yeezy 350 Mono Mist. Now, I wanted to get this one in for an early review for you guys, so I looked to StockX, and I ended up paying £425, and I knew full well if I just waited 1 week, just 1 week, these were going to go down to their retail price, and I could have picked them up for 180. But I know that you guys like the early reviews, and of course I am going to be losing money on that video, but again, I prefer to reinvest in the channel and make sure that I'm giving you guys good content. So once the resellers get their hands on these pairs of shoes, and of course they put them out into the marketplace, and I imagine anybody who's just trying to grab a pair of shoes for an early review or something like that, you'd probably look towards places like GOAT, StockX, eBay, and sometimes, you know, you have a couple people around you that can help you out with locating and sourcing out pairs of shoes. Let's take a look at the Jordan 4 White Oreo. This pair of shoes is not supposed to be releasing until July the 3rd, right? But there are a lot of sales on StockX. If you take a look at StockX, there's over 1,200 sales that have already been made pre-release date. Now that's just StockX. So that's not including eBay. That's not including GOAT or any of the other aftermarket places that you would go to get a pair of shoes. And that's just a regular pair of Jordan 4. Think about the Yeezys that get sold. Think about the other pairs of shoes, the very, very sought after pairs of shoes that people have a lot of incentive to get early. There's going to be thousands of sales before they even release. Now, of course, you can't forget about the fake sneakers that are out there. That is another big rumor, and a lot of people think, okay, early pairs, and China's usually the first one to get there, making their UAs. They're normally the first to be able to just take a render and turn it into a product super quickly. So yes, that is something to be aware of. I definitely don't think fakes are the majority of early pairs, because I believe you can get a early sneaker relatively easily. Like, it is a big business for retailers and resellers, so they are readily available, but they are very expensive. So you can expect to pay a lot more for an early pair, and that's really what it's down to. If you want a pair early, you can get it, but you're gonna have to pay a lot more money. But again, me as a sneaker reviewer, I have to do my due diligence and make sure I am getting a pair of shoes from a very trusted source, or of course making sure that I'm legit checking the products myself and that I know and I'm confident of legit checking them. But essentially, yes, sometimes you do see fake ones online, but I'm pretty sure all of the credible places that you would get sneaker information from, like sneaker reviewers and a lot of Instagram pages that do kind of leaks and rumors, they're the ones who are going to be able to tell you, yeah, these are obviously fake and these are obviously real, and they wouldn't tarnish their reputation by having fakes on. So I just thought this was a really interesting topic, because it's definitely something that I had a lot of questions about. You know, I was like, damn, where do they come from? I didn't really understand all of the different, you know, working pieces that go into an early pair of sneakers and the whole, you know, thing that goes around. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think about today's video. Just a little bit of an interesting topic for you guys. Let me know down in the comments what you think about early sneakers. And of course, if you want to go and follow me on Instagram, that's where I give you guys all of the sneaker updates when they drop and stuff like that. And of course, you can always go and DM me over there. Just, you know, have a little chat. That is at LBell Sneakers. And I want to thank you guys so much for coming through, hanging out for yet again another video. Thank you for liking, commenting, and of course subscribing. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. But until then.